friends. We're just going to get set up here. Just trying to get set up, make sure that everything is working. Welcome. We are here for a little bookish hangout. We plan to start at about 11 o'clock. We have about 7 minutes. So while we are waiting for other friends to join, I'm just going to get myself set up here a little bit more. These are some of the books that I'm going to be sharing with you today. Take a couple of things off my TBR just to use to elevate some things. I got some boxes from the publisher. This one is still in the box, even though I've opened it already. I'm going to share it with you here as a little treat because, listen, the publishers, they send me books so I can open the boxes, but they are for all of us. So we are going to share them. So while we're waiting for everyone to join, hopefully there will be more friends coming on soon. I'm just going to chat a little bit about some of the books that I have been reading lately and loving. Don't tell my buddy readers, but I finished reading this. So I'm waiting for our check-in because, when you commit to a buddy read, you commit to a reading schedule. But sometimes you get so engrossed in the book, so immersed in the world that the author has created that you just can't stop reading. And this is what happened to me with James. So my buddies, we said that we would stop at a certain point and that we would check in. And I stopped and I checked in and then I kept reading. So I don't think they are finished, but I am. So I'm not going to talk too much about the book, but I will tell you that if you haven't yet read this book, add it to your TBR, and not just the TBRS, to be read someday, way in the future. Read it now. This is based on the story of the adventures of Huckleberry Finn, but only the beginning of the book is the same. The circumstances under which the narrative starts is the same. After that, there is a huge departure from Mark Twain's storyline, and it was necessary. It is justified. So I read with my buddies. I read The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. Reread it a few weeks ago, and it's a really good preparation for reading this book, is what I would say. I had some real issues with some of the undertones, some of the prejudice, some of the expressions in The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. But I think I would recommend that you read it first to understand why Percival Everett's story was necessary to be told. This book needed to have been written. Like, sometimes you say that about nonfiction. You will say, well, there's this subject that a lot of people don't know about, or the information about the subject is not widespread. And you say this nonfiction book needed to be written. I don't often say that about fiction, but this book needed to be read just because The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn is still being taught in schools. And without this book, to give context, to give the other perspectives that were necessary, the other perspectives that were at work during the same time, then you may come away, you may come away from reading The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn thinking that was the story. But there is more to the story, and Everett gives it to us in this. So recommending this. I don't have to recommend this because this was on everybody's list last year. And I'm sorry it took me so long to get to this, but I have a lot of books. I have a lot of books around here. I got a lot of books around here. It might take me a while, but I plan to get to most of them. Most of them. Another book that I am glad that I finally picked up was this one. This was one of the books that was assigned to me for the BookTube Prize, but the publishers had sent me Salman Rushdie's Knife last year, sometime last year, and I just last year my reading was read a lot of great books, but my numbers were so low that I just didn't get to a lot of the books that I had wanted to. But I finally read Knife, Meditations After an Attempted Murder by Salman Rushdie. And this is another book that needed to be written. This is another part of a story that needed to be told. Salman Rushdie, in the late 1980s, wrote a book that was considered to be offensive to Muslim culture. And one of the Islamic extremist regimes pronounced a judgment on him for having written this book that was being sold, to the masses, that was so offensive. And they called for Salman Rushdie to be silenced. Fast forward to 2022, a young man who had not read Salman Rushdie's work, but had been radicalized in radical Islamic thought, decided that he was going to be the one who would finally silence Rushdie. And so Salman Rushdie was at an event promoting freedom of speech. And this young man, armed with knives, plural, rushed the stage, attacked him, and severely injured and wounded Rushdie. And so this book is Salman Rushdie's response to the violence leading up to that, but also the intolerance that sometimes leads to that kind of thinking, where you don't believe that other people who have opposing views should be able to express themselves. Only what you think should be said. So in this book, Rushdie explains his experience. He talks about what happened to him. He talks about the trauma of what he endured, as well as what it was like for his wife, his siblings, his children, how they experienced this trauma. The book is in several parts, and so one of the parts is exploring his recovery. Another part is exploring the relationship that other people had to it. And then in one part, he has an imaginary conversation with this man who attacked him and tries to explore this young man's maybe thought process that may have led to him committing this violent act. What was really what was really just coincidental about the time that I was reading it was that this case was back in the news, because even though the attack happened in 2022, in 2024 and 2025, the young man who committed the crime was on trial. And it's in the news again because Rushdie was approached. Maybe I shouldn't say approached. Rushdie was appearing in the trial. He had to testify, and I haven't watched footage of it. I haven't been following it in the news because I wanted to center on this part of the story where he tells the story, because it doesn't. We want him to get justice, but what happens in the courts, what plays out in the courts, is another issue. What the author has to say about his freedom of expression being challenged, and being challenged in such a violent way, is, I think, the big story. This book needed to be written because freedom of expression is important. No matter who you are, no matter what you have to say, we all have that right to speak our minds, as long as we're not threatening other people, as long as we are not as long as we're not spewing vitriol that is hurtful to other people, I think we should be able to say what we have to say, as long as what we are saying is not threatening, even if it's hurtful, as long as it's not threatening. Because sometimes, sometimes I may say things that are truthful and that needed to be said, and you may get your feelings hurt, but it doesn't make what I'm saying any less true, right? Um, in this book, Rushdie also explores the power of fiction, how sometimes fiction allows the story to be a little bit more palatable to the reader. It allows people, there are some people who will never open a nonfiction book because of pre-existing prejudices, but they would read something that is fictional. You'd rather have someone make up a story around it. One of our oldest traditions is storytelling, and storytelling is how a lot of us have learned things about the world. So the fictional author is a very important part of our culture, a very important part of our civilization, and part of the backbone of our history. So highly recommend this book. It wasn't in my top, it, as much as I'm recommending it here, it wasn't in my top books to move on in the BookTube prize, because I had a few criticisms about it, but it doesn't make the book any less meaningful just because there were other books that I thought did more on in different things, in different reasons, for different reasons. But I think this book is really necessary. I think this book was really impactful for me personally as a reader. So highly recommend this book. And I guess part of the reason that I'm recommending it here is because it didn't move on in the BookTube prize. It doesn't, or did it? No, it did. It did. Forgive me, forget what I just said. Scratch the last minute or so. This book did move on, so I'm looking forward to hearing other people reading it and talking about it because of having judged the BookTube prize or following the prize or watching other people's videos discussing it. So yeah, Knife: Meditations After an Attempted Murder by Salman Rushdie. Highly recommend. I don't know how many people are going to be joining us live today, but whoever watches this later will also have an opportunity to do this. I'm just going to keep talking, through some of the books that I've read recently. I read my first fairy book. I don't read a lot of fantasy. I will pick up a fantasy sometimes because a publisher has sent it to me to read a review. This one was just me, motivated because I wanted to explore some of these fantasy worlds that other readers have raved about. So I was really glad that I read this one. I'm not sure that I will pick up the rest in the series right away anyway. But I enjoyed this. I enjoyed my time in Prithian with Farah, I think is her name, Farah. So I originally chose this to participate in a challenge. There's a group called Book Challenge by Erin on Facebook. I joined that several years ago, and there have been many iterations. We're now in the 22nd iteration of the challenge. Happens twice a year, every year. So yeah, the past 11 years, that's how long I've been doing this. Wow. So anyway, at the beginning of the round, you choose, there's some challenges, there's some prompts, and you choose the book that you want to read to meet that prompt. And you get 4 months to read the books. 10 books, 4 months. And it sounds easy. It sounds doable, really doable if you read several books per month. However, the challenge for me is that I'm not just reading those books. So sometimes, because I created that list several months ago, sometimes I forget about the book. Sometimes I forget about the challenges, and I'm reading other things for other reasons, and I just don't get back to them. So now we are in month 3 of the 4-month challenge, and I still have, well, this was my third to last book that I needed to finish. So I still have 2 books to finish after this. But I finished this. I read this. I loved it. Love is a strong word. I enjoyed reading this. This, like I said, is not necessarily my kind of book. This is not the book that I would necessarily go into a bookstore and I can only buy one book and I'm picking this. But when I settle in with books like this, I really enjoy my time with them. So some things that I liked about this, we had a young young woman named Farah, like I said, and she's living in this world, but she and her people have contact with a supernatural world, and there is some wall that separates them. And she is out caring for her family one day when she accidentally pierces, like she accidentally like breaks a portal that exposes her to that other world, and so she has to go to that other world for some reason. And I don't want to spoil the book because I would recommend that you read it. A Court of Thorns and Roses, Sarah J. Maas. There is a whole series. There are probably maybe about 7 or so books in the series now. Um, and I could see why. I could see why. One of the things that I liked about the book is that we have a very strong female character. I like reading books about young women, especially um, dealing with things that they don't necessarily understand, but being like paying attention to their responsibility, even if it's not a responsibility that they would have chosen for themselves. In this one, Farah's responsibility is to her family. When her mother was dying, her mother asked her to look after her father and her older sisters. It is very interesting that she would be the one who would be chosen or asked to look after the others, given that she is the youngest. It is something that you don't necessarily expect. You expect the youngest one to be treated like the baby. You expect that one of the older siblings, even if it is the middle child, to be asked to take care of the younger one. You expect the father to be given the responsibility of taking care of the children. But before her mother, and again, the mother shouldn't be the one who is worrying about the future care of her family. Like, the father is still there, the other siblings are still there. But before the mother died, she asked this youngest child to take care of the others. And she takes that responsibility very seriously. And it's thoughtful, like it's thought provoking why she has to do what she does to take care of them and what it means for her life as she's moving forward. So I like the setup of the book. I like the premise of it. I like how she puts other people in front of herself. I like how she puts taking care of them ahead of her own personal needs. We hear a lot about self-care, but sometimes self-care is taking care of people around you because you're more comfortable, you're more fulfilled when you know that the people around you, their needs have been taken care of. So I really like the premise of the book. There's some things that happen here that were just a little difficult for me to believe, but it is fantasy. You're not supposed to believe it. You're supposed to be entertained by it. And I was thoroughly entertained by reading this book. So I don't know how long it will take for me to go back to return to the series. But I think I will, because I enjoyed it. And everything doesn't have to be everything doesn't have to be thoughtful and thought provoking and serious, or serious and thoughtful and thought provoking. Everything doesn't have to be a commentary on our present time and all the things that we deal with. Some things are just very fun. So those are some of the books that I've been reading recently. I didn't mention my book that I finished a couple of days ago that I was reading for the book club, the Runwright Reads book club. I should have. I'm not prepared. I should have brought my big poster to show you. But here is my poster in my reading journal. Can you see it? Can you see it? There we go. So these are the books that we are reading for the Runwright Reads book club this year. So if you are new here, if you're new, hi. Hi, Krista. Thank you so much for being here. Really enjoy hearing from you. If you are new to hearing about the book club, so the Runwright Reads book club is, would you believe it, a book club that I run. Our focus is on reading books by Caribbean authors, and we are now including authors who are not born in the Caribbean themselves, but their parents are Caribbean. So what I try to do in choosing the books, we alternate a native Caribbean author with someone who's a son or daughter of the Caribbean. So we started off this year with a book by a Jamaican author, Kai Miller, who is, he authored Augustin. It was the first book that I read from him. And I have loved, loved, loved his writing. He writes, he writes beautiful prose in his novels. He also writes poetry, and he also has a few works of nonfiction. I would recommend anything by Kai Miller. But we read, for me, was a reread, Augustin, which was the first book that I read from him. And I loved it. It's always a 5 star, no matter how many. I've read this book now maybe 3 times, and it's a consistent 5. It will never not be a 5 star. And then I read Black Cake. I don't know why I took my books from over here, but read Black Cake by Charmaine Wilkerson, which Charmaine Wilkerson is an American author. She's an American author, but she spent some time in Jamaica when she was a child, and her parents, at least her mother, I think, is Jamaican. So she's a daughter of the Caribbean. We claim her. We read Black Cake, which was her debut novel, and I love that. There were some elements of Black Cake that were just quintessential things that I love, things that I look for in novels. And then in March, our book was The Girl with the Hazel Eyes by Callie Browning. And we switched some things about the book club. So generally we meet on Zoom on the last Sunday of the month to discuss the books, or to discuss the book that we have read. We switched up. So instead of discussing the book on the last Sunday, we've now moved our meeting to the first Sunday of the next month. So we didn't have our book club discussion until yesterday, first Sunday in April. And so because I like to read the books right before the book club discussion, I didn't actually read my book in March. Bad girl. I didn't read my book in March, even though it was a March book club read. I read it in April. So I don't have a physical copy because I have the book on Kindle. I purchased it on Kindle years ago, and I thought that I had read it. I know I'd started it, but I guess I hadn't finished it back then. So I thought it was a reread, but it wasn't. I read it, and I just gobbled that story up. It is a 5 star. It's not a perfect book, but the things that the book did, it did so well that I can't justify it not being a 5 star. So here's the premise of The Girl with the Hazel Eyes by Callie Browning. So we're reading about two authors. One is two female authors, both from Barbados, and they're separated by a couple of generations. And we're reading about them meeting each other and working together. So the older one is a novelist, an author named Susan Taylor. Is her name Susan Taylor? Susan Taylor. She grew up in Barbados in the middle of the 1900s. So she's living in Barbados at the time when Barbados is about to gain independence from British rule. And she is working closely with some of the people who are working to orchestrate independence. So her father is involved with one of the political parties, or the first political party, as they are trying to, like I said, establish Barbadian independence from British rule and setting up their own political system. So she has a job in the organization of that political party. And at some point, some of that relationship breaks down, and she writes a book. And she has to pretty much leave her country and seek exile. And so decades later, she's now an older person, and she wants to tell her personal story. And so she hires a young woman who is also a writer from Barbados to work alongside her and publish her memoir. And it is about these two women's stories, the things that are very similar between the two of them, and also the things that are very different. So in reading about these two women, we also get to learn and understand some of the dynamics of growing up in Barbados. What are some of the things that are different between the 1950s and 60s with more present time, early 2010s? What are the things that are the same, and what are the things that are very different? So I really enjoyed that dual timeline experience of Barbados. There were some things that you always look for in Caribbean novels that I love seeing the representation of them. But there are also some things that were hilariously absent or hilariously different during Caribathon, because listen, Caribathon is coming up soon. We have to start thinking about it, right? So during Caribathon, I usually publish a list of things to look for in Caribbean novels. And one of the things that I always invite readers to look for when you're looking for a book that is written by a Caribbean author, not just set in the Caribbean, but written by a Caribbean author, one of the things that authenticates the book is the description of the food. Generally, Caribbean authors present the food that you can almost taste it through in the pages. Almost. This book, The Girl with the Hazel Eyes, was the first time, was the first time I have ever read a book about a Caribbean woman who can't cook. And she's not the main character. I'm not spoiling this, but there is a woman in the book. There's a woman in the book, a Caribbean woman who can't cook for naught. And it was funny because I've never seen that before. So when you talk about books, talk about Caribbean books, and people, sometimes people put like books from a certain place or books about a certain thing as like a monolith. These are all the same. No, no, no. They're different. There is a book about a Caribbean woman who can cook. I've never seen it before. And I've read a lot of Caribbean books. You know that. So that was really funny. So I'll be making a review video. I know sometimes I promise these review videos and they take a while to come because I have so much to say about the book. I don't want to make a video where I spoil a book. I definitely never want to do that. But sometimes it's hard to just kind of settle down and actually just express my thoughts in a short video where I can highlight the book and sell it to you, but not tell you everything that I love about the book, which sometimes is like everything. So that was the book for March. The book for April is a book by two sisters. It is Dear Haiti, Love Elaine by Maritza and Micah Mulite. These are two sisters with Haitian background. I think both of their parents are from Haiti, but they are American born. I think both of them. Two sisters, and they have written several novels. I've read something from them before, and this will be my first time reading Dear Haiti, Love Elaine. So I'm going to be reading that in the upcoming weeks, and we will be talking about it here. Well, not here. We'll be talking about it on Zoom in the first Sunday of May. So if you would like to join our book club discussion, leave me a comment, let me know so I can send you the link via Zoom. Right now, we're still meeting via Zoom. I'm thinking about extending the book club discussion and maybe making it a live discussion on the channel, using like a platform where we can have other people talk, not just me. Because if I do this right now, I think it would just be me talking and you typing. I don't want to do that. I'd like to hear what other people have to say. So I'm thinking about opening up the discussion. Would love to hear from you if you would like to read that book with us. The Mulite sisters, Maritza and Micah, they have a book coming out, I think later in April. It may even be the beginning of May, but they have a new book coming out. And so I would like to introduce them by us reading this book, which I think is going to be a lot more accessible right now. Generally, when I choose books for the book club, I try to choose books that are, relevant to most of us, but still old enough that you can get copies, whether you get a used copy from a thrift store or you can find a copy at the library and be able to request it and get it within a reasonable time. So books that are newer but not too new that it's hard for you to get your hands on, because I don't want to force anyone to feel like they have to go out and spend a lot of money to buy a book if that's not within their budget or their ability or their desire. So I think reading Dear Dear Haiti, Love Elaine would be a good way to be introduced to the writing from these two sisters. And then, of course, if you love the book, maybe it will motivate you to want to pick up their new release, which is coming out soon. And I hope that I will get a copy. I hope so. I hope so. So I'm going to be petitioning the publishers to send me a copy. But speaking of publishers, a little segue right before we get into a reading sprint. So, we're going to start reading at 11:30. At 11:30, we're going to be reading until midday. So until 11:30, here are some things that I want to share with you. So Penguin Random House. Penguin Random House is one of our favorite publishers around here. When I picked up my daughter on Friday and we came home and this package was sitting on the doorstep waiting for us. And she got really excited because she's like, oh, it's a package. And then she got closer. She said, it's a book package, isn't it? So I said, yes, but it's not just a book package. Who is it from? And she said, Penguin Random House. We love getting Penguin Random House packages. We love getting Penguin Random House packages. Sometimes there's something in the package for my daughter. So she's very excited about that too. This time it was just a book. It's this book, The Matchmaker by Aisha Saeed, and it is being released tomorrow. Tomorrow is publication day. So I am going to try to read it today. This is a book I'm going to be reading in my reading sprints today. And it is just under 300 pages. I think I could do it. I think I could read it today. I love the little publicity inclusions here. So it is an invitation. It's written like an invitation, but here is, so they also sent me like some press sheets. This is a book club kit and a little letter from the author, some discussion questions, a little book playlist. So some songs to listen to while you're reading this book. 2 pages of a playlist. That's exciting. But here is something else that I liked. Didn't I see that in here? Where is it? I don't know where it is. Was it on here? So it's built like an invitation. So it says you're invited to read The Matchmaker, Aisha Saeed, and it tells you the sale date, on sale on April 8th. So let me read you a synopsis because we're here. It is the short blurb. A society matchmaker realizes she's in danger when her clients' weddings are sabotaged in increasingly disturbing ways. So I try not to read the book synopsis if I'm going to read the book right away, which I am. But I will read you the first 2 lines. After that will sometimes spoil the first like 50 pages or so. But here's what the book is about. Business has never been better for Noura Khan, a 3rd-generation matchmaker in Atlanta. Okay. I don't have any books set in Atlanta yet. And I'm trying to read more of the books. I'm trying to read more across the country and worldwide. So one of the things I track in my reading for the year is where the books are set. So that was the first sentence. Second sentence. Her exclusive clientele benefits from her impeccable track record. That's the first 2 sentences. I didn't get anything yet. All right, one more. And while a single 31-year-old matchmaker would normally raise some perfectly threaded eyebrows in the community, Noura's childhood best friend, Azar, is willing to double as her pretend fiancé at her clients' weddings, even though Noura's feelings for him might not be so pretend. All right. So that's more than I usually want to get from my novels, from my synopsis, but it's fine. I'm going to read the book. It's fine. I'm going to read it today. So, man, wow, that's a lot of time. So this is the other package that I got recently. And if you follow me on Instagram, side note, follow me on Instagram, please. I would love to connect with you over there. I share a lot of my short content in Reels on Instagram. And sometimes I intend to put them here on YouTube Shorts and I forget. Being a bookish creator is a full-time job. It's a full-time job without full-time pay, and sometimes without a full-time um, ability. Anyway, this package came a few weeks ago, and my daughter and I opened it together, and I made a little video. I shared that on Reels. But because I still have the items in the box, I will share them with you here. This is the other book that I was thinking about reading during the sprints today. This book came out, it was published last week, March 26th, I think. So 2 weeks ago. I haven't read it yet, but I want to. I want to read it soon. This is very, very intriguing to me. And because I was thinking that I was going to read it today, I still might read a few chapters of it today. I wore this dress because I think it matches. I'm trying. Okay, let me take off some of this light. Is that better or worse? There we go. Okay. So it's salt water. Salt. Okay. See, that's where the Jamaican accent comes out. It's salt water. It's Salt Water by Katie Hayes. Here's the synopsis of this one. I'm really intrigued for this. Man, I tell you, I have all these books that I really, really want to get to. Time! Okay. In 1992, Sarah Lingate is found dead below the cliffs of Capri, leaving behind her 3-year-old daughter, Helen. Despite suspicions that the old money Lingates are involved, Sarah's death is ruled an accident. And every year, the family returns to prove that's true. But on the 30th anniversary of Sarah's death, the Lingates arrive at the villa to find a surprise waiting for them. The necklace Sarah was wearing the night she died. So the book, the little publicity package, has the little newspaper article, Sarah Lingate's body recovered, Pulitzer Prize nominated playwright missing on Capri. So I like books about books. I like books about authors. I don't really like books about authors being moving from life to not life, but I want to read this. I want to read this so bad. Just the time. So because we are here, I will show you some of the things that came in the bag, in the box. It had some candy. The candy has long been consumed, but it came with some little self-care items that I just love. Penguin Random House, they really hook me up sometimes. So it came with some bath soap. All right, I'm gonna take off some of this light again. Video will be a little darker for a little bit, but maybe you'll be able to see this a little better. Bath soak number 6 from the Amalfi Coast. That's the scent profile. To match the book. To match the book. Okay, so bath soak. It came with this right here. Can you see it? Oh, not so good with this. Okay. It is Drunk Elephant, Cocoa Extract Peptides, De-Bronzy Anti-Pollution Sunshine Drops. It's a bronzer, I think. This is a Lala Retro Whipped Cream sample. It's so pretty. The top here is a bronze color. It's beautiful. It also has this. Now I know it's like I said, it's been several weeks now since I got this box, maybe about 3 or 4 weeks. I think the box came. So I'm remembering what my daughter was wearing when we opened it. So it wasn't last week. It wasn't the week before. I think it was about 3 weeks ago. I haven't opened the package to start using the things yet. I should. I'm gonna start using them maybe tomorrow, but I'm gonna do something with them. It's gonna be something. Stay tuned. Stay tuned to the channel for what I'm gonna do with some of these things. So this is more Drunk Elephant products. This is Proteiny Polypeptide Cream Moisturizer. So pretty. So pretty. There's a little bookmark. There's a bookmark, but the bookmark came in the pencil case. So the bookmark is not about the book, it's about the pencil case. It is a pencil case designed to keep mascaras, eyebrow, or eyeliner pencils, longer beauty tools, glasses, and more protected and organized. So a little case, but inside the case, we put some of the other products that had come in the box. This was a cute little pink nail polish. Nail lacquer is what it's called, and the brand is Nailtopia. And it also came with this little claw clip that my hair is not in a style that I need this right now, but we love playing with it. So the pencil case, the bookmark was about the pencil case. And then, yeah, like I said, it had a lot of little saltwater taffy, which my family and I consumed that same night that we opened the box. So those are the things that came in this box. Those are the things that came in the box, along with the book that we are going to be reading very soon. So I'm going to put it here, and we're going to start with this. I said we were going to start reading sprints. We're going to start the reading sprints now. So we're a little late. It's 11:33. I'm going to put the timer from now until 12 o'clock. So we're going to read until 12 o'clock. So I'm putting a 27-minute timer starting now. Do you have a book? Do you have snacks? Do you have something to read? Are you reading on your phone? You're reading physical? You're going to read something something electronic? Whatever you're going to do. Let's read. Let's read something. So I'm putting the timer starting now. Going to be 26 minutes. So let's read. I'm starting with this. I'm going to be reading Aisha Saeed's The Matchmaker, and I'm going to try it out for 26 minutes. Starting now. See you at 12. Before you start reading, this was what I wanted to show you. This was a little invitation at the beginning of the book. Okay. As you were. And I'm also going to log it on Goodreads, because if you haven't put it on Goodreads, are you even reading the book? I'm reading. Goodreads says I'm reading it now. Oh, wow. Hi, friends. We're reading until midday. I hope you'll join me for the reading sprint. This is what I'm reading. Can we get a little selfie? Hi, friend. We're still reading. We're having a reading sprint until midday. Grab a book, grab some lunch, some snacks, some candy, some gum, some water, and let's read. We have another 15 minutes to go. I'm reading this. Oh, I should say, this is The Matchmaker by Aisha Saeed. There's like a marksman or sniper, something trained on her, which tells me that this is not just romance. Like maybe there's some mystery or intrigue. I wouldn't know because I didn't read much of the synopsis, but I'm invested. So we're reading until midday. Hi, friends, welcome. We are reading until midday, so we have another 6 minutes. This is what I'm reading today. Let me know in the comments. Drop in the comments what you're reading and, leave me an emoji so I know if you're liking it. Thumbs up, thumbs down, a heart, a smile. And even if you can't stay, because I know it's a weird time, lunchtime reading sprints are a little bit of a weird time, but it's the time that I'm available. And I just wanted to share some of this time with you. So if you can't stay, I understand, but leave a comment, leave a like so we all know that you were here and that you enjoyed it. Alrighty, it is midday. It's midday. I'm tempted to keep reading because I'm 4 pages away from the end of the chapter, but a lot of times these chapters end on cliffhangers, and I probably wouldn't want to stop there either, so I'll stop here. I got to page 38 in The Matchmaker by Aisha Saeed. Something that I didn't realize is that this book is blurbed on the front cover by Leanne Moriarty, who is one of my favorite fictional authors. I have read everything that Leanne Moriarty has written, except for this, her newest release. I don't know. I'm trying to make sure that there's some light here, but I also don't want it to be too bright so you can't see the covers of the book. This is on my TBR for April or May. I'd like to read this as soon as possible. I checked it out from the library in maybe late February. I was hoping to read it in March. I didn't get to it, obviously. I had some reading commitments. I had BookTube Prize reading that I had to catch up on. And so I didn't get to this. Leanne Moriarty's books are not short. This one is close to 500 pages. But I want to read it. I want to read it soon because there are only a few authors who I have read everything that they have published. And if Leanne Moriarty says a book is to be read, I want to read it. So that's another reason I'm reading this. It is due to be published tomorrow, tomorrow's release date. And I'm really excited to read it. I would have picked this one up, but I couldn't read this in a day. I think I could manage this one. So I'll tell you what it's about so far. One of the things that I'm liking is that I wasn't spoiled for anything because remember, I read you the synopsis. So our main character is Noura. She is 31 years old. She's a matchmaker, but she is single for all intents and purposes, but she's also pretending to be engaged. And her pretend fiance is her best friend, doctor. You know how, did I mention they're Desi characters? They're characters of Pakistani descent. So 31 and unmarried in traditional American or Western culture, not a big deal. I didn't get married until I was 41. Was I 41 when I got married? 31, 32 and unmarried in Desi Indian background, Pakistani background, maybe not so highly recommended, especially with someone who is in the matchmaking business. So there's a lot of pressure on her to have a significant other. And so she has this best friend who she's known since she was a child. And I guess he is also unmarried. And him being a doctor, I'm assuming if he doesn't have a pretend fiance, everybody's going to be trying to hook him up. So I haven't read that much into his character yet, but I'm assuming they are mutually benefiting from this fake engagement because it puts off all the people who will be trying to hook them up if they're not ready to be hooked up. And I don't know why he doesn't want to be hooked up, but Noura she is focused on her business. And I like how when we meet her, we see her immersed in her lifestyle, immersed in her business, immersed in representing who she is and who she wants to be. So she has, the synopsis also told us that she's a third generation matchmaker. We have met her aunt. So her parents are deceased, but as a child, she went to live with her aunt, who is the matchmaker, or who was the matchmaker before her. Her name is Khala, Khala, that's the aunt. And so she went to live with Kala when she was a child because her parents, like I said, had passed away. And so she's inherited this business from Kala. But what's interesting is that Kala has a child. She has her own daughter. And you wonder why it is that Nina inherited the business and not Kala's daughter. So there seems to be a little bit of tension between the two cousins. And it doesn't appear yet that the tension is about the fact that the niece, not the daughter, inherited the business, but it may be because, quite often, quite often, issues are not just about one thing. Sometimes it's easy to forgive someone if there is no unresolved issue in the backdrop, anything that we didn't resolve in the background. Something happens now, can brush it off a lot easier. But if there are unresolved issues in our past, it makes this new thing, this new conflict, that much more hurtful, because it's layered hurt, right? So whatever it is that is happening right now between Nura and her cousin may just be based on the fact that the daughter didn't inherit a business. So we're about to explore that. So what's justifying for Nina to be the person who has the business or is running the business is that she's not just continuing what her aunt was doing. She has taken the matchmaking business into the 21st century, and she has now launched a matchmaking app, and she has VIP profiles or VIP access to this matchmaking service. So if people want more personalized treatment than just an app, they can reach out to the matchmaker in person and get some personalized service. And so we're reading a little bit about a little bit of the background of running a matchmaking business, and I'm here for it. When I was in my 30s and contemplating the difficulty that I was having finding a person, a life partner, and reading or being exposed to the idea that more traditional societies matchmake, because I've always just been really interested in books that are set in India and Pakistan and Bangladesh and Sri Lanka, some of those traditional Asian societies that there are arranged marriages. I didn't want necessarily an arranged marriage, but I thought someone who knew me really well would probably be able to introduce me to someone who would be a good life partner. And so I considered asking my parents, can you find me someone that I would get along with? Because I thought my parents know me better than anyone. But I wasn't sure that I wanted to start a long distance relationship with someone who was in Jamaica at the time. So my husband is perfect for me. He is perfect for me. Our matchmaker was God. God sent us to each other because God knew that we would be perfect for each other. I drive him insane probably most days. But he is perfect for me. So thankfully, we didn't need a matchmaking service, but I definitely see the appeal that sometimes it's difficult to find someone for yourself, given all the other things that you have going on. Sometimes it's getting over that initial meeting phase. Like, how do you meet someone and get it to move to the next level for both men and women? I think people from both sides have challenges getting into that next phase. We move from meeting someone to casual dating to starting a relationship. It's tough out there. So I'm liking this. I said it, if you weren't here during the reading sprint, I paused the reading for a little bit just to acknowledge that this is not just hearts surrounding our character. There's something like a sniper's lens trained on her. And yes, it has a little heart in the middle, but there's nothing about that activity that is loving. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see where this goes. So this is what I started in the first reading sprint. It is being published tomorrow. So I would like to have it read tonight so that I can post a review on Pub Day tomorrow, and have the publishers being very happy with me for having sent me the matchmaker. I like it. This red background with these black hearts, so maybe not so loving. The other book I'd like to start, I don't know if I'm going to start it during this reading sprint, or maybe if we come back tomorrow, I'll read this one, because I'm invested enough in this to just keep reading this. But take a few minutes to break. So while we are here, I will show you my reading cart. So if you're new to my channel, if you're only being introduced to my channel because I'm doing a live, I know sometimes I get notifications about lives that are going on, even for channels that I don't otherwise follow. I would love to have you stay. Put my sweater around because it's a little chilly here today. Up here, the top shelf on my reading card are books that I'm hoping to read very soon. Some of them are books that I have started and would like to finish in the next few weeks, whether in finishing in April or not too long afterwards. So earlier in our time together, I mentioned that I'm participating in a reading challenge, and I had 4 months to read 10 books to respond to some prompts. And I could change some of the prompts. I could change some of the titles for other books that would meet those prompts. But I like to stick to that original TBR. I like to stick to that original list. I still have 2 books to finish. The Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison, which I had started reading in February for Black History Month. And I put it down because I was reading a lot of other things at the time. And then I was reading James by Percival Everett, and I didn't want to read this at the same time I was reading James. Um, so I had put this aside until I finished James. So now that, don't tell my buddy readers, but now that I have finished James, I can pick this one back up, which for me means that I'm going to start it again. Because if I take too much time away from a book, too much time meaning anything more than a week, I need to just go back to the beginning. And I didn't get that far in it. It's not a big deal to go back to the beginning, but I like to start the book again. So I'm hoping to start this again like in the next couple of days. So you'll hear me talk a little bit about this in upcoming videos, or we may even be reading this together in an upcoming sprint because I really like this Hangout. Let me know in the comments. Give me a little emoji. Let me know if you're enjoying this little Hangout during the daytime. Even if you can only pop in for a few minutes at a time. I like being here. I like reading with you. It is motivating me to read because if I was here just by myself without you being here with me, I probably wouldn't be reading right now. Technically, I'm not reading right now, but what I'm saying, I spent half an hour reading today, and if I was here by myself without you being here with me, I probably wouldn't have read. I might have been watching a video or cleaning or cooking or, otherwise out procuring items for the family. So, in any case, what was I saying? Books that I want to read very soon. I want to get back to Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison, and I am going to be reading this. This is the last book. These 2 are the last books that I have to finish that 10-book challenge, and I need to finish that before the end of April. So I need to finish these 2 books before the end of April. This is The Care and Feeding of Ravenously Hungry Girls by Anissa Gray. I made a short, a reel. I think I posted it on YouTube Shorts where I was showing this alongside another book, The Comfort of Crows. This is The Comfort of Crows by Margaret Rankle, and just showing how similar those 2 books are. So if you haven't already followed me on Instagram, go check me out on Instagram. There's a reel. I know it's on Instagram, whether or not it's on YouTube, that's TBD, but it's definitely on Instagram where I show this alongside the other book that looks a lot like it. So I don't know what this book is about, but it's been on my TBR. This or The Comfort of Crows has been on my TBR. And every time I visualize the book, I'm not sure which one I'm thinking about. So just to distinguish between the 2 books, I decided I'm going to read both of them. So I'm planning to read this later this month. And the author is a Black lady, Anissa Gray. This is The Mothers Meets an American Marriage, both of which no, that's not true. I never read The Mothers. I read Britt Bennett's The Vanishing Half. I didn't read The Mothers. I thought I've never read The Mothers. One day, one day. In this dazzling debut novel about mothers and daughters, identity and family, and how the relationships that sustain you can also be the ones that consume you. If you know me, and now that you are here watching my videos, you know me. I love books about mothers and daughters. It is one of my favorite things to read about. I I love being a daughter and I love being a mother. And I love books about mothers and daughters because I think about the mother daughter relationship in all those different iterations. And so I'll be coming back to this later this week. These two books will be explored. Let me not put them back up because stuffing them in this card. This is for a reading challenge. I started reading this on a live last week and I haven't gotten back to it yet, but I will. It's really interesting. It is about a man who's waking up from a coma and having to go back to his parents in New Jersey, having to go back to the life that he tried to escape from before he was in the coma. And it was very hilarious. This I had started reading a few weeks ago, and like other books, I had put it down, and so now I'm going to have to start it again. This is a memoir of a bird watcher, and he was in the news because while he was in the park bird watching, a woman accused him of doing something that he was not doing, and she didn't know what his influence would be when she made the accusation. Otherwise, she wouldn't have, she wouldn't have said what she said about him. Anyway, other books. This is How You Lose the Time War by Max Gladstone. No, Max Gladstone is the blurber. This is How You Lose the Time War. The author is Amal El Motar. And I think this is epistolary. This is epistolary. Maybe it's not fully epistolary, but there are birds on the cover. Notice a little theme here. Notice a little theme. Anyway, we'll come back to that. Soil by Camille T. Dungy is a book that I picked up a few weeks ago, and it's about gardening. It is the story of a Black mother's garden, and I had started looking through it, but I haven't finished it, so I need to start it again. And this is The Tell by Amy Griffin. The publishers had sent me this. I think this one was published in March. And this is a runner's memoir. So we'll be talking about some of these in upcoming videos. These are my BookTube prize books. So the quarterfinals round has been announced. I could take this off. I'm not that cold anymore. The quarterfinals round has been announced. I am reading nonfiction. So these are some of the books that I'm going to be reading for. Let's take this off. Can you still see me? Let me show you the books. Then I could put that back on later. This is Language City by Ross Perlin, The Fight to Preserve Endangered Mother Tongues in New York. This is A Wilder Shore, The Romantic Odyssey of Fanny and Robert Louis Stevenson. This is authored by Camille Perry. This is Patriot by Alexei Navalny. This is Cue the Sun by Emily Nussbaum. This is The Invention of Reality TV. I didn't tell you the subtitle of this because there is no subtitle. This is a memoir of the man who was trying to oppose Vladimir Putin in Russia. And this is There's Always This Year on Basketball and Ascension by Hanif Abdurraqib. These are the 5 books that I have to read for the BookTube Prize quarterfinals. This is my round. The 6th book in the round is The Bookshop by Evan Friss, which I read in the earlier round. And because I had it out from the library for a while, I returned it. I will get another copy when we're a little closer to completing the round, just so I can review it to compare it to these books. But for now, as I'm reading, I didn't need to have it here. So those are BookTube Prize books that I'll be reading soon. I started this one, and I'm hoping to finish it later today. Someone, Patrice Jones, she has a channel called 2 Minutes on Books. You may know Patrice because she is on BookTube. She was awesome commenter for a really long time, and now she has her own channel. And she recommended that I get the audio to accompany reading this book, to read the audio to accompany physically reading it. I requested it from the library, but I'm having trouble getting connected to the audio, the e-audios from my library. I'm not sure why, but my Libby app doesn't seem to be picking up my requests. I'm gonna have to get that sorted out. But for now, I'm just reading it with my eyes. So those are the books that I have out from the library for BookTube Prize. I have a lot of books out from the library. I told you about this one. I want to read this very soon. Leanne Moriarty's Here One Moment, because I have read everything this author has published. When I was looking, when I was looking to see if, when I was trying to get into her writing and trying to find other books that she had possibly published, I also read books by another Australian author called, is it Diane Moriarty? Yeah, there's another Australian author whose name's also Moriarty, and I read her books too. But Leanne Moriarty is the queen of what I call contemporary like suspense, where we get these like short chapters following different characters, and each character, like we don't spend too much time on just the character. Everything about them is moving the story forward, and you don't always know how it's moving, like how it's advancing, but it's just like so well done at the end. You're like, wow, how did she do this? So she has books, like I think her first book was okay, some of her books are not here. But the first book I read from her, I think, was Big Little Lies or The Husband's Secret. I read those two around the same time. Then I went back and I read What Alice Forgot, which is about amnesia. So talk about things that just kind of align, similarities in books. So What Alice Forgot is about amnesia, like this one. And The Last Anniversary, what was that one about? The Last Anniversary, I can't remember all the details of that one, but it was about a town, it was about a community, and I don't remember. There was some last anniversary that they were celebrating. I can't remember. Then The Hypnotist Love Story was about a woman who sees patients in her home, I think. And one of the like you think you're on, like you think the reader thinks that they are solving the mystery because you think that one of the things that's happening is being done by this one person, but later you find out it's not. Like they're the thing that Leanne Moriarty does really well is write red herrings. Like you always think that you have figured out the story, but you haven't. Three Wishes was about triplet sisters. I remember that. Big Little Lies. Apples Never Fall was, I think, her most recent book before this one, which is about a woman who went missing. Truly Madly Guilty was a locked room scenario. I love it. I probably, at some point, will do a little bit of a guide. For me, as you could tell, probably more for me than for you, because I just need to revisit her books and talk a little bit about why I love her writing so much, because I didn't do a good job of that in here. But I'm going to be reading that soon. Then I have Ghost Written by David Mitchell, because someone recommended David Mitchell's writings and also recommended that you start with his first book. And this is his debut, I think. I have this out from the library. As you could see, I use my library. Other books that I have out from the library are this one, Slave Old Man, novel by Patrick Chamousseau. translated from the French by Linda Coverdale, translated from French and Creole. I read this book. Mm, what's the title of the book? We read it for the book club last year. I don't remember. It was a like a one word name. It was about a petroleum industry. The name will come to me. I also have this out from the publisher. Out from the publisher. The publishers gifted me Junie by Erin Crosby Eckstein, which I couldn't read at the time because it is about an enslaved person while the Civil War is like looming in the distance. And I didn't want to read this at the same time that I was reading anything else that was set around the same time or had to do with any similar storyline. So I had to put this aside. I was very sad with myself that I didn't read it to publicize it around the time that it was being released. But the publishers are very gracious. And so anytime I read the book and review it, I mean, I did do some publicity of the book. I did, like do some reels and stuff where I just highlighted the book, but I didn't read it yet. I just didn't get to read it. But I will. I will very soon. So what should I read in the next reading sprint? Because the next reading sprint is in 3 or 4 minutes. We're going to read from 12:30 until 1 o'clock. Going to read on from 12:30 until 1 o'clock. Should I keep reading this? Should I keep reading this? I want to know more. I want to finish this book today too. So I think so. So, yeah. This one will wait. I'll put it here. I'll put it here just so you could see it. You could see it, right? I put it there. But I think for the next reading sprint, I'm going to keep reading this. So I'd love to hear from you in the comments what you're up to, let me know in the comments what you're up to. What you've been reading lately and how you've been choosing your books. Let me know also who you're watching on BookTube or who you're following on TikTok or on Instagram, all the bookish creators that you're following. If you are in New York City and you're available to collaborate and do some live, let me revise my statement. If you are a creator and you'd like to do a collaboration with me, like you want to do like a joint discussion, you want to appear in one of my lives, would love to share that opportunity with you. I would love to have someone come on and do a little live with me where we talk about some books, especially if you read books that are different from what I read. I read a lot of literary fiction. Like that is my jam. I don't go into a lot of genre fiction all the time. When I do, I generally enjoy them. And I think that's because I pace them. I pace myself with reading outside of my literary fiction comfort zone. So I generally don't read horror, but I will try sci-fi. I'll read some fantasy. I'll read some mystery, suspense, thrillers. I will read some YA. But as long as I'm not reading like a lot of it back to back to back, if I have given myself time and space and breath, then I generally enjoy it. So I'd love to chat with you. I am open call. If you're a creator and you'd like to share some time with me collaborating on a live, we could do a live video where we could do a live where we talk books and I talk about some books and you talk about some books and maybe we see some similarities. I would love that. I'd love that. Aside from that, if you are in New York City and you'd like to do a meetup, like a little bookstore crawl, I'd love that too. I'm available during the days. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, generally are my days when I'd be available to do a little book bookshop crawl, a little bookshop meetup and shopping. Um, I have a few books on my list I'd like to go buy. I'd like to go buy, and I'd like to have someone come with me. So if you're available to do that, we'd love to chat with you about that too. Am I just inviting people on the internet to meet up with me? I mean, you'd have to go through a very strict vetting process, and I'll bring my security guard with me, my security personnel with me. So it'll be fine. It'll be fine. I'm enjoying this. So let me know what you'll be reading for the next reading sprint. We're going to start just about now. I'm going to keep reading this just because I'm invested, and this is what I want to. Ooh, ooh. Okay. Got a little message from my daughter's school, which is non-urgent. Non-urgent message just came in that they had picture day a few weeks ago, and so just got a message to say the pictures are ready to view. So exciting. But I won't look at it now. I won't look at it. We're gonna have a 25-minute reading sprint starting just about now. So that will end at about 5 minutes to 1 o'clock. So we'll have a little time to chat and catch up before our live is over. So we're starting now. 25 minutes will put us to 12:56. So 25 minutes on the timer starting now. Let me know in the comments what you're reading. I'm reading this. I'm just also gonna post on Instagram. What? Reading sprint over, but I can't put out my book. Mm. Wait, what? Okay. Um, I am at page 70 and I'm officially invested. Um, that chapter, those last 3 or 4 pages were a lot. So I was telling about the book, right? And at the end of my first reading sprint, I was saying to you about the niece. Okay, the daughter. So just in case the people who are here are not the people who were here before, quick introduction to this book. So I was reading The Matchmaker by Aisha Saeed. The publisher sent this to me. It is being published tomorrow. So I really wanted to read it today, just so I have a chance to talk about it and, hopefully if I like it, promote it on publication day tomorrow. So it just felt like the perfect length of book that I could really just get into and spend the day and enjoy it, hopefully, and be able to talk about it. So, any case, so the story is about a young woman. She's 31. She's a Desi woman, Pakistani background, living in Atlanta. And as a child, her parents were deceased, so she went to live with her aunt, who was a matchmaker. And now that her aunt is older, she has taken over the matchmaking business, but she's also made it her own in that she now has an app alongside the traditional matchmaking. There's also an app where people can, I guess, get matchmaking services electronically. She also works with clients on a more personal basis. And those are more VIP clients, people who pay more for her personalized service. And right now, she is facing some vitriol being spewed online by someone who seems to have been rejected from her service, because just because you sign up doesn't mean that you automatically get access to her service. you have to be accepted. And someone who I guess was not accepted is very was very offended, and they're saying some things on in social media about her and about her business and about her business practice, and maybe possibly off-putting people who would be interested in signing up. So not good. Our main character, her name is Nura, and so far, so far, she has rejected any offer of an article or an interview. She doesn't really want to talk publicly about her business. She's letting like word of mouth just be as it would, letting hopefully the positive reviews outweigh whatever negatives are being circulated. So right now she's being pursued by a journalist who really wants an interview with her, and everybody's telling her you should do it, especially given that there is this negative response or review being circulated. Like someone has created a podcast, which the main objective of the podcast is just to talk bad about this young woman as well as her business. She's also having a conflict with her aunt's biological daughter because she has inherited her, well, not inherited, because her aunt is still alive. So that's not the right word. She has taken over her aunt's business, even though her aunt had a daughter. And so at the end of the first reading sprint, this is why I started saying this to you. I was asking myself the question, is the conflict because the aunt has chosen our main character instead of her daughter? And at the beginning, like as soon as I picked up the book, the next page was about dispelling that as a notion, that the daughter had said she didn't want the business long before our main character entered the picture. So she turned it down long before, or she said, I once thought her coolness toward me. This is exactly in response to what I was saying. I once thought her coolness toward me was because I'd taken on the family business instead of her. But she turned it down long before I entered the picture. She hated how all consuming the work was. She derided it as archaic. And she adamantly told her mother she wanted no part of it. So it's not about jealousy because of, her being chosen as the successor for the business. It is obviously about something else. Or is it that she has changed her mind and she wished that she could take it now? I don't know. We'll explore that. But I'm really enjoying this. At the heart is also a fake dating, which is one of my favorite kind of tropes, I guess, in romance novels. Um, what makes this a little bit more palatable, because I guess one of the issues that I always have with these fake dating scenarios is about the people who are getting hurt, like lying to your family, lying to your parents, lying to people who love you to pretend that you're in love. I don't like it. I like the fake dating when it leads to a real relationship, but maybe if you just like contain it. So fake dating for the media, fake dating for superficial friends or relationships, or fake dating so you could keep away someone who would be trying to get close to you if they thought you were single but you have no interest in being with them, like that kind of fake dating. Yeah, I'll lap up those stories. But lying to your family and your friends to pretend that you're in love when all they really want for you is just for you to be happy. And so you're letting them think that you are happy, but you're not. Like that just doesn't ring true. Like when I met my husband, when I just met him, and the people who had known me when I was single, like just how they lavished love and affection on him because he was here now, how like they opened up themselves, opened up their lives to encompass him because they were so happy that he was here. Like thinking about if I had created him, if I created this relationship, and they're opening themselves up to someone who is not staying, who has no intention of staying because it's not a real relationship. Like that is just so hurtful to them. So you think that you think that you're helping, but you're really making things worse. That whole fake dating thing. So what I like about this is that it doesn't do that. The people who are close to her know that this is a fake dating, a fake fiance, her pretend fiance. Her aunt and her cousin and her, maybe not the niece, because the niece is a child, so maybe she wouldn't understand, but her best friend, her aunt, her cousin, they all know that this is a fake relationship that is just for the tabloids, or the people who would be suspicious that she's a matchmaker but not involved in a relationship herself. Those are the people who the fake fiance is for, the pretend fiance. So it's not that she's lying to her family, which makes it just so much better. Fake to the people who need it to be fake, but she is being real with the people that she loves because they know him. He is someone that she has known. He's her best friend. So her family knows him, and they know that that whole pretend relationship is just for the people on the outside. And so I like that. So I like when a book plays with something that I like in exactly the way I like it. So I feel like this is really good so far. This is the author right here. Her name is Aisha Saeed, and I am fully prepared to love the rest of this. So I'm gonna read more later, but I think we're going to end the live, just so it's not too long. I'm hoping to post it on my channel. So if you were not able to come in live, that you'll be able to come back on later when you're looking for someone to just maybe spend a little time with, that you'll be able to come back with it on the video and just have it that you can play it in the background while you're reading. The objective for this space is to read and do a little reading hangout and talk books and talk reading life and all of that. So these are the books. Thank you so much to the publishers for having gifted me this book and that book. That one was published a couple of weeks ago. This one's being published tomorrow. I have other books around that I will be reading and talking about, and I hope you'll join me for some of those discussions. I have a great video that I just filmed a few days ago, and I haven't edited it yet. I'm hoping to edit it so it can go live tomorrow. I might edit it to a short form so it could be on Instagram, on Reels. So again, if you're not already following me on Instagram, if you have an Instagram, please check me out. I am Karen, Karen _ Runwright Reads on Instagram and on TikTok. And here, just Runwright Reads. Before we go, let's talk TikTok. So how many of you are on TikTok? Let me know. Leave a comment about whether or not you're on TikTok. So I joined TikTok and was trying to grow my following there because my intention was just to create my reading space and be consistent on all the platforms. I found that it was a little taxing because I feel like you can't fully focus on the 3 platforms at the same time. So I took some time off from YouTube so I could focus on building my TikTok. I could focus on building my TikTok presence. And that was around the time when the app was being threatened, and then it went away. And you might not have heard my little experience with it because I kept the app when it disappeared from the app store. I still had the app, but then I accidentally deleted it from my phone. I wasn't able to get it back. And so I was without TikTok app for maybe 2 weeks or so. And in that time, I guess I just fell out of the routine of checking TikTok or posting on TikTok. So when the app came back and I was able to download it again, I went back on and I posted a few things, but like I said, I just fallen out of the routine and I just have to build back up my routine to include being active on TikTok as well. But I do definitely want to go back to it because I enjoyed I enjoyed the more casual feel of TikTok. I really enjoyed being there. Enjoyed the people, the interactions that I was having with people there, because not everybody on TikTok is active on Instagram or on YouTube. And wherever I meet friends, I want to keep up with them. So I do plan to go back on TikTok, maybe later this week, maybe even later today. I'll post something over there. So if you're on TikTok, check me out. Check me out on TikTok as well. Karen underscore Runwright Reads, I think, or just Runwright Reads. Um, yeah, working on being a little bit more consistent here on the platforms plural, because I get a lot of benefit from it. I get books from publishers, but I also really, really enjoy the bookish conversations that I have with you. I enjoy the opportunity to share with you books that I have read, lists, um, just all the things that come with this channel and the interactions. I enjoy all of it. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for spending some of your time with me today. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you read, what you loved, or if you have a recommendation of something that I should be reading, something that this reminds you of, or something that this reminds you of, that you think that I might enjoy. Let me know. I am always looking for recommendations and trying to read more, trying to read quicker so I can read more books, so I can actually read more of your recommendations as well. Um, yeah, yeah. So that's where we're going to end off today. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for clicking the link and joining this live. If you are new to being here, if you've never watched one of my videos before, thank you so much for joining. Thank you for being here. Thank you for spending the time with me. Click the subscribe, please. Stay, watch more of my videos. I have a lot of videos. I've been posting here on YouTube for several years. I think we're in maybe year 8. I think I started this. I think I started this channel in 2016, maybe 2016. Yeah, maybe 2016. So it's been I've been here for a while. I've been I've had videos up here for a while, and there've been long breaks, so I didn't post much, but I have kept the channel going. And some of my older videos, I'm tempted to just kind of delete them, but because they're not necessarily representative of who I am as a bookish creator now, but sometimes just for nostalgia, I like having the older videos there. So I definitely wouldn't recommend that you go watch my oldest videos. But you could watch some of my videos like from last year or the year before, some of my tag videos, to get to know me a little bit better if you like. um yeah, hope you spend some time exploring some of my videos and enjoying some of the content. And let me know what you like. Comment on the videos, let me know what you've liked. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Click to get notified when I post videos. I don't have a specific posting schedule. I just post when I can. I just post when I can and hope that you are able to enjoy it at some point. So follow me here, subscribe to my channel, follow me on Instagram and TikTok. My profile, my username there is Karen underscore Runwright Reads. So thank you again so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed this time, and I look forward to coming on and spending more time with you. Another live show maybe later this week, and I'll definitely put it in the community tab when that will be. But I also post it on the social media on Instagram and TikTok. So if you're following me there, then you'd know to come on over. So thank you again. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I hope you find some great books to read and enjoy all of it. Okay, thank you. Talk to you later. Bye.